And welcome to Impact 2024, our conversation and our continuing conversation that we have, where we open up that we can have dialogue and talk about different topics. We can talk about everything that's going on from current events, race, religion, and so on. And as we have come into the new year, just want to remind of a couple of things. One, we do this as a conversation, an opportunity for people to express how they feel about topics, how they feel about what's going on, our discussions that we have, our guests that we have, the topics that we have. It gives you an opportunity to discuss them and put in your input. It gives an opportunity to have a safe space to have conversations, have agreements and disagreements, to be able to hash out whatever we want to hash out. But it's important that you feel that it's a safe place. Right now, I know there are less and less opportunities for people to give their opinions and not be criticized, or give their opinions and not have to worry about backlash. It's a safe place to give your opinion, whether it's wrong or right, um, and let it flourish, and let it talk through, and so that we can come to some conclusions. And I want to be very clear on that: wrong or right. I say wrong or right because you could be wrong in the moment, but for the most part, your opinion is your opinion, or your viewpoint is your viewpoint. It is not necessarily a wrong or a right. It's how you feel at a particular point in time, and we need to come to some type of consensus. And we do that through this conversation here. And as a reminder, as we do that with this conversation here, we ask that you type your questions and your comments into the comment section. And so we allow for the dialogue to take place. Every week we are not going to have a guest. Every week we don't have a guest, and but the conversation still goes on. And as long as we're still here, we will have the conversation, and the conversation is better when we have opportunities for people to give their feedback, whether it be a question, whether it be commentary, or whatever. And feel free. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, type it on in. We will see it. We will bring it up, and it will be discussed. All right. As you see by the name, it is 2024, brand new year. Each year we come on here and we talk about the fact that people start their years off with, of course, they have resolutions that they want to do, and they have a new commitment and new things that they want to do every single year. Here, we often talk about the fact that people want to give up something or start a new trend at the beginning of each year, and that's the popular thing to do. As a place where we want to talk for this particular program, or this particular webcast that we have, we want to be clear that it's just not talk. Our words need to be followed up with action. So whatever conclusions we come to, there should be a call to action behind it, in a sense of, don't just feel differently about how you approach things. It needs to be an act of differently. So, for example, we come on here, have a conversation, and in enlightenment, and come to a conclusion. Hey, give an example. Hey, we shouldn't be acting like this. People shouldn't do such and such. As I interact with the comments and the people on here, if I sit back and I say, well, people shouldn't do such and such, then the call to action should be that I don't do it anymore, or I try my best to reduce the amount of times that whatever that such and such is. And so, just as a reminder, that it should not just be words. Our words should lead to some sort of action, or some sort of change, physical change, or whatever. All right. And with that being said, let's hop into the topic. There's a lot of things going on, as we always say, especially at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of things going on, crazy stuff going on. If you've paid attention to the news, if you paid attention to social media, if you paid attention to anything out there, you see there's a lot of things going on. There are a bunch of different ways we could go. There are things blowing up all over the place. A big explosion in Texas. Everybody knows, or everybody should know, about the airplane where the window flew off, and the people had to fly through the airplane and everything like that. There are things going on everywhere, and there are a number of different topics to discuss. But what we're going to discuss today is kind of going back to our roots, to when this was first established and what we talked about, which is social justice. And here's where we're going to start. In Florida, of course, where a lot of the interesting things happen. What recently occurred was that they had a young man very young man who just recently came to this country. And I'm not going to give all the details on this particular story because I just want to get to the point of it, and then we can discuss it. The young man is in this country, just recently came to this country, cannot speak English. The young man was just standing outside. And a police officer came up, saw him, and started questioning him as to what he was doing. And the man was explaining he can't speak English. And then he decided that he wanted to frisk the man. And the young man decided, because he didn't really understand what was going on, because he's not from here, doesn't speak English, kind of resisted a little bit. The police officer wrestled with him. Another police officer came up. Ultimately, what happened was the initial police officer who stopped him and frisked him and started the interaction had a heart attack. And he died. And as a result of this, they are trying to charge the young man with manslaughter. And so for those of you who don't understand exactly what manslaughter is, basically it's involuntary murder. So as a result of your actions, someone died. You didn't intentionally or purposely try to cause them to lose their life, but you're responsible. You have some responsibility there. So involuntary manslaughter. So basically, he would be sent to jail, most likely for the rest of his life, because they're trying to charge him with manslaughter. Now, he was not charged with anything else. Matter of fact, they even said that they don't know exactly why the police officer even decided to stop him. So basically, just racially profiled him because he didn't look like he's from this country. And again, he could not speak any English. And he tried to tell them no English. And an interaction ensued. Now, for everybody who knows, just common sense, that sounds ridiculous. Let me place up what the law is. So basically, the way that they have set up laws now in a lot of different localities and jurisdictions is that if you lead to somebody else's death, if the interaction which you've done, so if you do, it's based on if you're a criminal, not a criminal, if you commit a crime, and somebody dies as a result of the crime that you committed, then you can be charged with murder. So, for example, if you went to a jewelry store and you stole some jewels, the police showed up, the police shot at you, and either somebody who was with you or an innocent bystander got killed in a store, you could be charged with murder because of your crime, it led to their murder. That's the law, or in a lot of different localities. They're taking that law even further in a sense, and they're saying, well, because you were racially profiled and you couldn't speak English, and you kind of resisted arrest because you didn't really know you were being arrested or didn't really fully comprehend what was going on. And we dropped all of the charges. But yet this gentleman who was in his mid to late 60s passed away because he had a heart attack. We're going to charge you with a crime. Why are we talking about this? Because the first thing we talked about was action. We don't want to talk, we just want to have action. But before that, we want to talk about where is our moral compass? As people, this is not a black man. This is not a white man. This is not a U.S. citizen. This is someone who just recently came to this country and does not speak any English. What should our response be? some people say, well, I mean, I'm here for civil rights for black people, so I don't really have no comment on that one, or I don't have the outrage on that one. I'll think about it a little bit, but I'm not gonna say anything. Some other people will say, well, he's not a U.S. citizen, ain't no big deal. He's not one of us. What level of outrage should we have? This is a story. People have heard about it, but it has not really been pushed to the degree that some other things would have been pushed. The outrage is there a little bit because, again, I wouldn't know about it if it wasn't some, but it hasn't been publicized the way that it could or should. And this is not a new story. This was a 2023 story. Quick comment. If you commit a crime, so he didn't commit a crime, and that's the important part. He committed no crime, and what's important is that they had no reason to pull this guy over, frisk this guy. So guy just standing around, and because you're a police officer and you just decided, all right, let me go up here to this guy, and you pass away because your health is not because of your health, basically because of your health. Should we be outraged about this? Should we be concerned? And your community, whether you're Black like me, Christian like me, whether you are a U.S. citizen like me, who should be outraged? Should we all be outraged? Because we all want to defend our own, and I'm definitely on that. If something happens to a person of color, I'm definitely jumping all on it. But who should we defend our own, or should we defend others? Where is the outrage from the church? We don't know what his religious status is, but should we have the outrage? Just because he's not one of us, he's not a U.S. citizen, he's not whatever. Where should the outrage be? If I sold you a car and you die in the car accident on your way home, can I be charged with manslaughter? I would hope not. I don't know the law, but I would hope not. I don't think so. And I don't think that's the way it works. But in this particular situation, that's what the police officers are trying to do. And unfortunately, that's what the district attorney is trying to do. And unfortunately, I feel like we don't have people of who are really looking at this in a responsible way and saying, all right, look, this isn't right. Now, let me bring up some points. As I was doing research, there's some points to look at. Yes, the police officer died. There's a difference between dying in the line of duty and dying because of natural causes or dying from a heart attack or anything like that. And so because of money, it appears that they're willing to put this gentleman away for an extended period of time in order to get the police officer the right retirement. And so that may be the motivation. Whereas the police officer will sit back and say, well, it needs to be line of duty. Because if it's line of duty, then he gets such and such benefit and such and such benefit and such and such benefit. And people will get on board with that and they'll say, oh yeah, that's reasonable. But yet you're going to try to make someone spend 40 years, because that's what numbers have been thrown around, 20 years, 40 years in jail, in prison, because you want to get somebody somebody's family a nice retirement check. Because again, he was not charged with a crime. So the only crime would have been you resisted arrest because you really didn't know what was going on. When I say resisted arrest, it was, I'm not letting you put handcuffs around. And so only after he was arrested and through his interpreter could he even comprehend and understand exactly what was going on, because he had no idea why he was being stopped. And so here what it comes down to, this is about money, or could be about money. Because factually, the district attorney and the police officers haven't said why they want to go ahead and pursue charges and try to charge him with murder or manslaughter. Knowing good and well that he didn't. The coroner said that he passed away from a heart attack. He was not already in great health, but it was from physical exertion. So you can make the connection there. And to add one more little nugget to the conversation, the other officers did say that he talked about having chest pain prior to the interaction. We're talking about this because of the outrage. We're talking about this because of the action. We're talking about this because of the responsibility that we have. Is our responsibility to be as upset and as forceful with people outside of our own communities? Because we all protect our own communities. If something happens to a person of color, we expect the people of color to stand up for them. You know, when we look back at over the last couple of years, and all the horrific things that come out, and we can talk about the ones that have gotten the most press and coverage. Breonna Taylor, we were talking about, George Floyd and everybody like that. Somebody of a person of color, you expect people of color to come out for. If something happens in different communities, isolated communities, something happens to a person, a Muslim person, a Jewish person, something happens to an Irish American or whoever, somebody that happens to LGBTQ, you expect the different communities to stand up for the people who were affected. However, in this case, when you're talking about somebody who is not from this country and doesn't really have a community and doesn't have really a let's more say a legal community that can stand up for them, is it our responsibility as different communities to stand up with the outrage because we know that something is wrong, that we know that something is unfair, that we know that something is not being done correctly? I would say yes. I would say even because if we're going to call ourselves people of a moral standing, if we're going to call ourselves Christians, and we talk about our responsibilities to the community, that's anybody in the community. That's anybody who we can see within our line of sight, within our vicinity, whether friend or foe, whether familiar or unfamiliar. If you're in my community, then you're in my community. So if you're in the United States and there's an injustice that goes on, as people of the United States, regardless of who you are, regardless of if you're a citizen or not, sometimes that we have where we only want to protect our own and go after our own. But I think we all have to fight for one another. And that sounds difficult sometimes. You have people who sit back and be like, look, man, they need to handle their own business. And we do that. We hear that all the time. We especially hear that when it comes to countries, where we always say, they need to handle their own business because they're not going to fight for themselves and we're not going to fight for them. But I do think when we have people who can't fight for themselves, when we have situations where we have folk who when we see injustice, that it is our responsibility to kind of cross over into the other communities and take care of everybody. And so as much outrage as we want to have for people in our own community, we should also have that same outrage when we see injustice done to others. And I think it is our responsibility. I do. I mean, as a person of color, as a Black man, you sit back and sometimes you're just tired of all the outrage that you're supposed to have because we're getting beat up left and right all the time. But we need to muster up just enough energy that we can have enough outrage or enough energy for others too. That's selective. It's funny because that's what one comedian said. You got selective outrage. You choose what you're mad about. I'm gonna be mad about this and not mad about that, or be, we'll prioritize this and not that. We can have that selective outrage, but I don't think that we should have it when it becomes to injustice. Anytime there's an injustice, regardless of who it is, we need to have that same level of energy. That's the way I feel. I think that's our responsibility. And so I say this because, and it goes back to what I'm saying, not just talk, it needs to be action. Not just talk, it needs to be action. That is not something that I say and I'm not recognizing it in myself. I recognize it in myself as well, that I need to be about that action. When we have a conversation here, it needs to be followed up with some sort of action, whether it be a letter or a call or whatever. to make sure that whatever is done or whatever we say or have outrage about, that we do something about it. It doesn't do us any good to talk and never have any action. We don't have to do something all the time, but to talk and never have an action to follow up with it. And so I would encourage you to follow up. You can Google the story. I know I didn't give you a bunch of details. I probably should have gave you the names and everything like that. Sorry, maybe I'll make sure that's put out here. Comment. One of the problems we are having in society today is that we have people in charge who have a difficulty thinking. Yeah. Okay. They are just not that intelligent. Then we have those who have no respect or compassion for others, particularly people who are not like them. Yeah, I do think that. I think we got some people in charge who can't think through the process, and so they just stick to the book sometimes. Like people who are not really confident in themselves or confident in their abilities sometimes will just stick to the book. I can't think through this, or I can't make decisions that are off from the book because I'm not really confident in myself and know what's going on, or confident in my intelligence. So I'm gonna just stick to what the book says. Whether the book says do this, then that's what I'm gonna do. I can't look at any situation individually and apply some discretion to it. I need to stick to what is there. You have that. And then you have others who have no respect or compassion for others. And then the third one is, in this situation, what you may have is people who, at the end of the day, all they care about is money, and all they care about is their own. And so for the police, the district attorney, if this is an issue of they're trying to code it a certain way so that they can give the family of the deceased officer more money, and they're willing to put somebody in jail so that they can get more money, then they're not good. They're people who are not doing good things. And if they've done this more than once, they're not good people, because you sit back there and you will ruin somebody's life for a paycheck. That's not good. And so, you have the people who have no respect or compassion for others, and that's where they fall in line. But you got the people who are just trying to protect their own, and they don't care who else they hurt. And unfortunately, oftentimes when we talk about police officers, when we talk about the justice system, the police, lawyers, politicians, who are all mixed in together in that legal justice system, sometimes they just want to protect themselves and they don't care about who they hurt. And that's the unfortunate part. That selfishness there, but they think it's not selfish because they're taking care of theirs. But if you're only taking care of yours, it's pretty selfish. And let's be honest, they don't even follow the book. They want to do what they want to do. Yeah. But they want to do what they want to do. At the end of the day, they were going to find, whether they follow the book or not. You look at a situation where you just need to have compassion for others. And as much as you care about your own, as much as the police officers care about the other officer and his family, as much as the district attorney cares about the police, because they're connected, we need to be caring about everyone else. I would hope that we, going forward, we have the correct level of outrage, and hopefully something in this situation can get done. Because everyone knows it's not right. Everyone knows it's not right. All right. Well, that's what I got. I appreciate everyone who joined us. Appreciate all the comments. Going forward, we're going to have a site in 2024, a exciting slate of topics, and hopefully an exciting slate of people on the show or on the program to give their opinions and to give their thoughts and to give their discussion points. And as always, we offer up to everyone who wants to participate. Please feel free to contact us. Information is right here on the screen. You can call us. You can email us. You can get in contact with us however you see fit. You can join the show. You can join the program, or again, you can also always join the program through your comments. Just a quick reminder of the events that we have going on here. Same place, YouTube or Facebook. Also in person, we have on Thursdays, Thursday Thirst, which is our weekly Bible study that happens at 7 o'clock Eastern time. On Sundays at 10 Eastern Standard Time as well. Facebook, YouTube, you can join us for service, weekly service, or in person if you are in the area in Highland Springs, Virginia. And then on Tuesdays, today, at 7 o'clock, we have prayer. And so we ask that people pray with us from at 7 o'clock. You can pray at your home or by yourself or amongst others, but you'll be in prayer when we're in prayer. And if you would like as well, you can call and leave your prayer requests. You can call and leave your thoughts, and we will pray for and with you, but mostly with you. All right, and then of course at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Impact 2024. And please continue to join us, and we appreciate you joining us tonight as well. All right, I want to say thank you and have a good one.